Daniel followed me for 3 days. I didn't notice at first. How could I? Guilt makes you careless. Love makes you blind. And fear. Fear convinces you everything will somehow be fine. But Daniel wasn't blind anymore. The first day, he parked a block away from Victor's building. The second day, he stood across the street pretending to talk on the phone. The third day, he walked inside. I was already there. Victor poured himself a drink, calm as ever. "Your husband is close," he said, without looking at me. My heart dropped. "You said he wouldn't find us." "I said he wouldn't stop truth," Victor replied. I rushed the window. Daniel stood in the lobby, arguing with the receptionist. His face was tight with anger and confusion, the kind of look you get when your entire life starts cracking. "He's here," I whispered. "We have to stop this." Victor smiled slowly. "No, this was always coming." I grabbed his arm. "You don't understand. He's not like you. He's good." Victor finally looked at me. "That's why he's dangerous." Before I could respond, my phone vibrated. "Daniel, where are you?" I didn't answer. Another message. "Daniel, I know you're lying to me." My hand shook. Victor stepped closer. "If he finds out, he won't leave. Men like him don't accept betrayal easily." "He won't hurt anyone." I snapped. "He's my husband." Victor's voice dropped. "And you're my secret." The doorbell rang. We froze. Victor didn't move. The bell rang again. "I'll handle it," I said quickly. "Please, just let me talk to him." Victor caught my wrist. His grip was firm, possessive. "Be careful what you promise him." I opened the door. Daniel stood there. Up close, he looked exhausted. His eyes were red, his jaw clenched. He looked past me, straight into Victor's apartment. "Who is he?" Daniel asked quietly. "No one." I lied. Victor appeared behind me, placing a hand casually on my shoulder. Daniel's eyes locked onto it. Silence. Then Daniel laughed, a short, broken sound. "So this is where you've been disappearing to." "It's not what you think," I said, tears burning my eyes. Daniel stepped inside, without waiting for permission. "Then explain it." Victor closed the door behind him. Click. Something in Daniel's expression changed. "You planned this," Daniel said slowly. "You knew I'd come." Victor smiled. "Of course." Daniel turned to me. "How long?" I hesitated. "Too long." "Answer him," Victor said softly. Daniel's voice shook. "How long?" I whispered. "Months." Daniel staggered back, like I'd struck him. "Months." He laughed again, this time louder. "I was trying to fix us. And you were—" He couldn't finish the sentence. Victor spoke instead. "She was alive with me." Daniel snapped. "Shut up." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Or what?" Daniel rushed him. He shouldn't have. Victor moved faster than I'd ever seen. He twisted Daniel's arm, slamming him into the wall. The sound echoed through the apartment. "Stop." I screamed. Victor released him immediately. Daniel slid to the floor, breathing hard. Victor crouched beside him. "You should leave." Daniel looked up at me. "Is this who you are now?" Tears streamed down my face. "I never meant for this to happen." "But it did," Daniel whispered. He stood slowly, eyes empty. "I loved you." Those words hurt more than anything else. Daniel walked to the door, then stopped. "This isn't over," he said. "I won't pretend this didn't happen." He left. The door slammed shut. I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Victor knelt beside me. "He won't let this go." "What are you saying?" I asked. Victor's eyes darkened. "Men who lose everything become unpredictable." Fear crawled up my spine. "He won't tell anyone." Victor leaned close. "And if he does?" I shook my head. "He wouldn't destroy me." Victor stood. "Love doesn't stop revenge." That night, Daniel didn't come home. The next morning, I woke to a message from him. "Daniel, we need to talk. Tonight, alone." I showed it to Victor. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he looked at me. "If he knows everything," Victor said, "we can't let him walk away." My heart dropped. What do you mean, we? Victor smiled slowly. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just an affair anymore. It was a trap. And Daniel was already inside it. My husband trusted me. That was the worst part. Every morning, Daniel kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Every night, he asked how my day was, his voice gentle, his eyes full of belief. Belief that I was exactly who I pretended to be. A loyal wife, a harmless woman, a lie. Because every afternoon, when the city grew quiet and the sun dipped low, I belonged to someone else. His name was Victor Blackwood. People call him an evil boss, not because he shouted or threatened, but because he never had to. Power followed him like a shadow. Men feared him. Women whispered about him. No one ever truly knew what he did. Only that lives change when he entered them, including mine. The first time I met Victor was at a private business dinner Daniel begged me to attend. Victor stood apart from everyone else, dressed in black, watching the room like he owned it. When his eyes met mine, I felt it. Not attraction, danger. Later that night, he approached me with a slow smile. "You look bored," he said. "I'm married." I replied instantly. He leaned closer. "That doesn't mean you're alive." I should have walked away. I didn't. What started as conversation turned into secrets. Secrets turned into meetings. Meetings turned into nights I could never explain. Victor never touched me at first. He didn't need to. He owned my thoughts before he ever owned my body. "You love your husband," he told me once. "Yes," I said. He smiled. "But you desire the darkness." That was the night everything changed. I told Daniel I was working late. I wasn't. Victor's penthouse overlooked the entire city. Glass walls. No hiding places. He poured wine as if we were equals. "Are you afraid of me?" he asked. "Yes." "Good," he said softly. "Fear makes love honest." I crossed a line I could never uncross. From that night on, I lived two lives. In one, I was Daniel's wife, cooking dinners, laughing at his jokes, sleeping beside him like nothing was wrong. In the other, I was Victor's secret, wrapped in shadows, consumed by obsession, pulled deeper into something I couldn't escape. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel noticed the changes. "You've been distant," he said one night. Did I do something wrong? Guilt stabbed my chest. "No," I lied. "Just tired." But he started watching, asking questions, checking my phone when he thought I wasn't looking. Victor warned me. "He's getting close," he said calmly. "He won't find out." I insisted. "He loves me." Victor's eyes darkened. Love doesn't stop truth. One evening, I came home late to find Daniel sitting in the dark. No TV, no smile. "Where were you?" he asked. "At work." He stood up slowly. "Funny, I went there." My heart stopped. "They said you left early." Silence stretched between us. "I think you're lying to me," Daniel said. "And I think there's someone else." I laughed nervously. "You're imagining things." But his eyes, they weren't convinced. That night, I texted Victor with shaking hands. "He knows." The reply came instantly. "Then we don't have much time." The next morning, Daniel followed me. I didn't know. Not until I saw his car parked across the street from Victor's building. By the time I realized, it was already too late. Daniel chose a public place. That should have reassured me. It didn't. The cafe sat on the edge of the river, quiet, dimly lit, almost empty. The kind of place people went when they didn't want to be overheard, but didn't want witnesses either. Victor insisted on driving me there. "You don't need to come," I said, my voice tight. "I do," he replied calmly. "He asked to meet you alone. That means he's already decided something." I swallowed. "He's not violent." Victor's eyes flicked toward me. Neither was I once. He parked across the street. "Go," he said. "I'll be close." Too close, I thought. But I didn't argue. Daniel was already there, sitting by the window. He looked thinner, older, like the man I'd married had aged 10 years in one night. I sat across from him. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he slid his phone across the table. Photos. Me, Victor, together. My chest tightened. You followed me. I had to know if I was crazy, Daniel said quietly. Turns out I wasn't. I'm sorry, I whispered. He laughed bitterly. That's it? After everything, that's all you have? I never meant to hurt you. But you did, he snapped. Every day. Every lie. Tears blurred my vision. I don't know how it happened. Daniel leaned forward. Then let me tell you. He took a breath. You stopped looking at me. You stopped touching me. And suddenly I was married to a stranger. Silence settled between us. I loved you, he said. I still do. That's the problem. I looked down. What do you want from me? The truth, Daniel said. Everything. And then I'm going to the police. My heart slammed against my ribs. Police? For what? For him, Daniel replied. I looked him up. Victor Blackwood isn't just a businessman. People disappear around him. Deals end in blood. I shook my head. You don't understand him. Daniel's eyes hardened. You don't understand what you've done. He stood. I'm done protecting you. Panic surged through me. Daniel, please. It's over, he said. Tonight. He turned to leave. That's when Victor walked in. The temperature in the cafe seemed to drop. Victor didn't look angry. That was worse. Daniel froze. Of course, he said. You followed her. Victor smiled politely. I didn't trust you to keep this civil. Daniel laughed sharply. You don't get to speak to me. Victor stepped closer. You're right. I get to end this. Daniel turned to me. So this is it? You brought him. I didn't know he'd come. I whispered. Victor placed a hand on my shoulder. Possessive. Final. Daniel saw it. Something broke in his eyes. You chose him, he said. I didn't answer. That was answer enough. Daniel reached into his jacket. Victor moved instantly, grabbing Daniel's wrist. A knife clattered onto the floor. Gasps filled the cafe. Daniel struggled. Let go of me. Victor leaned in, his voice low and cold. You came here ready to kill. Don't pretend otherwise. Daniel looked at me, horror flooding his face. I just wanted answers. Victor tightened his grip. And now you have them. People were staring. Phones were coming out. Victor released Daniel suddenly. We're leaving. I stood, shaking. Daniel grabbed my arm. Don't go with him. For a split second, I almost didn't. Then Victor spoke. If you stay, he said calmly, everything you love dies. Daniel stared at him. Is that a threat? Victor smiled. It's a promise. I pulled free from Daniel's grasp. I'm sorry, I whispered. We walked out. Outside, Victor shoved me into the car. I was crying uncontrollably. This has gone too far. Victor started the engine. No, now it's finally honest. You scared him, I said. He won't stop now. Victor glanced at me. Exactly. We drove in silence. When we reached his penthouse, I collapsed onto the couch. I want this to end. Victor poured 2 drinks. Handed one to me. You think endings are clean? He asked. They're not. They're quiet. My phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Daniel, I'm going to police tomorrow morning. I showed it to Victor. He read it. Then he looked at me. There it is, he said softly. The moment that decides everything. My voice trembled. What are you saying? Victor leaned closer. If he talks, we lose everything. I shook my head. We can run. Victor smiled sadly. You can't run from truth. He straightened. But you can bury it. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Deadly. I stared at my phone. At Daniel's name. At the man I once loved. And for the first time, a terrifying thought entered my mind. If Daniel disappeared, this nightmare would end. Victor watched my face change. And he knew. Daniel didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. I lay beside Victor, staring at the ceiling of his penthouse, every breath heavy with the weight of what I hadn't said, but had already decided. At 3:12 a.m., my phone vibrated again. Daniel, I loved you. I don't know how to stop loving you. But I won't protect your lies anymore. Tears slid into my hair. Victor watched me from the shadows. He's saying goodbye, he said quietly. I didn't answer. At dawn, Daniel sent the last message. Daniel, meet me where we first talked about forever. The river. Tonight. The river. Our place. Victor read the message over my shoulder. He didn't smile this time. He wants closure. I owe him that, I said. Victor nodded once. I'll come. No, I said quickly. Please, let me do this alone. He studied me for a long moment. You won't change your mind? I looked at the city below. The lives, the lies, the silence waiting to swallow one more truth. No, I said. Victor leaned in and kissed my forehead. Not tender, not loving. Final. The river was quiet, reflecting the city lights like broken stars. Daniel stood near the railing, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. When he saw me, his face softened, just a little. You came, he said. I said I would. We stood there in silence, the water moving endlessly below us. I keep thinking, Daniel said, that if I say the right thing, you'll come home. My throat tightened. Daniel, don't, he said. Just tell me the truth. Once. No lies. I took a breath. I don't love you anymore. The words cut clean. Daniel closed his eyes. When did that happen? I don't know, I whispered, slowly. Then all at once. He nodded. And him? Yes. He laughed weakly. Figures. Daniel stepped closer. I won't tell the police tonight. Hope flickered, dangerous and brief. But tomorrow, he continued. I will, not out of revenge, out of truth. My heart pounded. You'll destroy everything. You already did, he replied calmly. I'm just cleaning up the wreckage. Footsteps echoed behind us. Victor emerged from the darkness. Daniel stiffened. You followed her. Victor stopped a few feet away. I don't trust unfinished conversations. Daniel looked at me. You brought him. I shook my head. I didn't know he'd come. Victor smiled faintly. But you're not surprised. Daniel's eyes filled with something worse than anger. Acceptance. You planned this, he said softly. Didn't you? I didn't answer. Victor stepped closer to Daniel. You're making a mistake. Daniel met his gaze. No, I'm ending one. He reached into his pocket. I gasped, Daniel, don't. He pulled out his phone. I recorded everything, he said. Your threats, your confession. Victor's smile vanished. I gave a copy to a friend, Daniel continued. If something happens to me. Victor grabbed him. It happened too fast. Daniel struggled, panic flashing across his face. Let go of me. I screamed, stop. But I didn't move. Victor slammed Daniel against the railing. You should have walked away. Daniel looked at me, not angry, broken. You're really going to let this happen? He whispered. I could still stop it. One word, one scream. Instead, I said nothing. Victor pushed. Daniel fell. The sound was brief. Final. The river swallowed him whole. Silence followed. Thick, unbearable silence. Victor stepped back, breathing hard. I stared at the dark water. My husband was gone. Victor touched my arm. It's over. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt empty. Sirens wailed in the distance. Victor pulled me close. They won't find anything. No body. No proof. I whispered. I killed him. Victor corrected me calmly. We did. Days passed. Daniel was reported missing. I told everyone we'd fought, that he'd left. People believed me. They always do. At night, I sometimes hear the river. Sometimes I see his face. Victor holds me when I wake shaking. Secrets only hurt when they're alive. Weeks later, I stand beside Victor on his balcony. The city glowing below. Do you regret it? He asks. I think of Daniel's eyes. Of the moment I chose silence. No, I say. Victor smiles. Far below, the river keeps moving, and no one knows my secret affair, because the man who did found out too late.